I hit rock bottom, and so could you. I thought I was climbing in the right direction, but everything came crashing down. Burnout is real. I've experienced it, and so have 77% of professionals in their current job. You may think it's just stress, but if you don't deal with it now, things can get much worse. Hey, I'm Sina, a corporate professional with over a decade of experience in tech and operations. I've experienced burnout firsthand. I've seen it affect not just myself, but also the teams I've managed. That's why I'm passionate about preventing burnout, not only for myself, but also for the people I work with. Today, I'll be sharing what burnout really looks like, how to recognize the signs before it's too late, and most importantly, how you can stop it from ruining your career and well-being. But before we get into how to fix it, let's make sure we understand what burnout really looks like. Burnout isn't just about being tired after a long day. It's a chronic state of emotional and physical exhaustion. You may lose interest in your work, feel like nothing you do matters, and ultimately find yourself stuck in a rut. In a study conducted by Deloitte, 77% of professionals have experienced burnout in their current job, which is really concerning. But how can you tell if what you're feeling is actually burnout? Here are the common signs. Constant exhaustion, no matter how much rest you get. Detachment from your work and lack of interest. Decreased performance and productivity. Physical symptoms like headaches, anxiety or nausea. Irritability and mood swings. It's important to know, though, burnout isn't just about how many hours you work. In fact, it's not about the hours at all. Research from a Gallup study tells us that burnout is more about how we experience work, and more specifically, it comes down to how we're managed. Think about it. Have you ever felt overlooked, undervalued, or felt that your work wasn't appreciated? Well, you're not alone. Gallup found 5 key factors that lead to burnout. And trust me, they're all way too common. You're doing everything right, but others are getting the recognition. You're given the same tasks over and over again, while someone else gets the exciting projects. That's what we call unfair treatment at work. You're putting in the hours over the weekend just to stay afloat. No matter what you do, your workload never seems to shrink. That's an unmanageable workload that isn't sustainable. You go to work not knowing what's expected of you. Your manager is vague and you're left guessing at what you're supposed to do. This is unclear communication from leadership. You push yourself beyond limits, but it's like no one even notices. Your work goes unrecognized and you feel like you're invisible. This comes from a lack of support or recognition. The deadlines, completely unrealistic. You're constantly under pressure to deliver, even when those timelines are impossible. That's unreasonable time pressure that you can do without. But wait, it's not just these 5 factors. There are other hidden causes of burnout that might be lurking in your workplace. Even if you're part of a team, you feel isolated. Maybe your manager is a micromanager or your co-workers are in it for themselves, throwing you under the bus whenever they can. So you may have a toxic work environment. You have no control over your schedule and your opinions don't seem to matter. You're just following orders without any real autonomy. You're feeling powerless. Your job might be asking you to do things that go against your core beliefs, forcing you to compromise your integrity. So you have conflicting values, right? A big trigger is uncertainty. The uncertainty that comes from organizational restructuring or economic downturns that can push you into a constant state of stress and anxiety. I've been through 3 reorganizations and I'm going through one right now. Believe me, it's exhausting. So having job insecurity doesn't help. So how do you fight back? How do you stop burnout from consuming you? Make sure you shut off work after hours. Stop checking your emails at 8 p.m. because it's only going to stress you out. If you let work bleed into your personal time, people will expect you to be available 24/7. So set boundaries. If your meetings are back to back, you need to block out some time for yourself. Step outside, take a short walk, clear your mind. The simple act of stepping away from your desk can boost your energy and refocus your mind. So take regular breaks. Now let's talk about the basics. You have to exercise regularly, eat well, and get enough sleep. If you don't take care of your body, burnout will take control of your mind. So prioritize self-care. Don't keep it all in. Reach out. Talk to a trusted manager, a mental health professional, or even a colleague. Burnout thrives in silence. so don't let it win. Seek support when you need it. If you feel undervalued or feel like your strengths are not being utilized, consider changing teams, departments, or projects. Sometimes a new environment can give you a fresh perspective you need, so seek change. And here's a big one: reconnect with your why. Why do you do what you do? When you rediscover your sense of purpose, you reignite that fire. So find meaning in your work. Break the cycle of work. Schedule time for activities you love, whether it's painting, running, or learning something new. It's a powerful way to reset, so engage in hobbies. Practice meditation and simple breathing exercises to help manage stress. This has helped me a lot personally. Simply breathing techniques when you're feeling the stress can instantly calm you down. I've found that having the ability to self-regulate is a game changer, and we're all capable of it. I find myself applying these breathing techniques before I respond to something that has pissed me off, and it has helped immensely. It all comes down to understanding what's in your control, your response, your attitude, and your effort, and letting go of the rest. Once you have that perspective, it changes everything. So mindfulness and relaxation is key. Let's talk about our response, our attitude, and effort. For our response, we can't control every event, but we can control our response. We can react with composure, empathy, and decisiveness. We can turn challenges into opportunities. Here's something that really stuck with me, related to our response. Viktor Frankl, a psychologist and Holocaust survivor, once said, "Between stimulus and response, there is a space. And in that space is our power to choose our response." So what does that mean? It means we can't control what happens to us, but we can control how we respond. So next time you feel overwhelmed, don't react in the heat of the moment. Take a deep breath, step back, and choose your response. Whether it's a difficult email, a harsh comment from a colleague, or an overwhelming task, pause. That space between your action and your reaction is your power. Our attitude, maintaining a positive, solution-oriented mindset, boosts resilience and inspires others. View setbacks as learning opportunities and steer your team towards growth. Our effort, consistency and effort separates stressful individuals from the rest. Dedication to continuous improvement, showing up with determination, and leading by example are entirely within our control. So focus on these three things that you can control: your response, your attitude, and your effort. And everything else doesn't matter, as you're doing the best you can. And I know I'm making it sound easier than done, and I understand the shift in mindset can take a while to develop, but it will help you overcome burnout. And most effectively, you can actually start feeling sorry for your manager and their behavior. You see things from a place of empathy, where you start to understand why other people's problems are being pushed onto you, and that those are the things they need to deal with as individuals. Now, if you're a manager, your role is critical in preventing burnout for your team. You can spot it if you see a decrease in performance, a change in behavior, or an increase in absences or requests for time off. So here's how you can help. Encourage your employees to take time off. Flexibility and work-life balance are key to keeping people healthy and productive. Promote work-life balance in your team. Be realistic about workloads. Make sure your team isn't drowning in tasks with impossible deadlines. Instead, challenge them in ways that help them grow and not sink. Manage the workload effectively. Be a leader who listens. Create open communication, check in with your team, and ensure they feel safe sharing how they feel. In my team, I always ask, how can I serve you better? Creating that safe space makes all the difference, so foster a supportive environment. Regularly acknowledge hard work and implement reward systems. Even a simple shout out of appreciation goes a long way, so recognize and reward your team members. Offer training and employee assistance programs to address burnout and other challenges before they escalate. YouTube is your best friend. There's so much content out there on this topic that you can suggest to your employees or even play them at the beginning of your team meetings. Provide resources to help your team. Model healthy work habits and be transparent. As a manager, you need to have your ship in order, as that stress can rub off onto your team members. So lead by example. Provide growth opportunities and mentorship. Your team needs to see that you're investing in them and that you're involved in their progression. So encourage professional development as much as possible. Now to my personal story. There was a point in my career when Everything was going so well. I'd moved into a new role, was building a team, and had all the resources at my disposal. But then, in a matter of months, everything fell apart. Projects were cancelled, and I had to let go of my entire team. Suddenly, everything I'd worked for was gone, and I felt an overwhelming sense of failure. I was emotionally drained, and my motivation had vanished. This is when I hit burnout. For the first time in my career, I felt completely powerless and disconnected from the work I had once been passionate about. My routine collapsed, I wasn't eating well, I wasn't sleeping well, and I wasn't exercising. It was a rapid downward spiral. The key moment of self-awareness came when I recognized these changes in my behavior. I knew I needed to act fast before the situation got worse. So the first thing I did was change my environment. I moved back home with my family knowing I would be supported physically and emotionally. I surrounded myself with people who cared about me. And that simple shift had a profound impact on my mindset. My brother became my accountability partner, and together we started working out, eating better, and I focused on rebuilding my routine. Through this period of recalibration, I realized the importance of stepping back and allowing myself to heal and letting go of what was out of my control. During this period, I got an offer to move to Canada for an international assignment, and the timing couldn't have been any better. It was a fresh start with a new team, and I had worked with them before. And it gave me the opportunity to leave the negative experience behind and focus on something positive. Now, having gone through this, I've learned a valuable lesson. Don't get too attached to your job. Your passion for work is important, but so is setting boundaries. Burnout taught me that at the end of the day, the only things you can truly control are your response, attitude, and effort. And everything else is external, and you have to learn to let go of what you can't control. I also learned that burnout isn't something that happens overnight. It's a slow burn. And if you don't intervene, the consequences can be severe, affecting your health, relationships, and your career. By understanding the early warning signs and taking action, you can prevent it from consuming you. Burnout is serious, but with the right steps, you can overcome it. If you found these tips helpful, check out my video on how to fast track your career to over 6 figures so you can get the most out of your job. Or if you're a manager, click here to watch how to build a high-performing team that thrives.